And for my personal experience, now I am facing 4 charges in 2 court cases, which include organizing, inciting, and participating unauthorized assembly. At the same time, I also am not sure when will be the day for the national security agent belongs to the authorities to arrest me directly. With the experience of being followed by 4 unknown private car at the same time, those drivers even hold the walkie-talkies to trace on me. I think how our life in Hong Kong is really uncertain. And with what's happening by Jimmy Lai and Agnes Chow a few weeks ago, how they were arrested suddenly, 5 a.m. in the morning, the house of Jimmy Lai was stormed by those police belongs to the security bureau. There's lots of uncertainty that all we experience. So it seems that arrest me or extradite me to China a lot seems to be the matter of timing.
You had an op-ed recently in the New York Times, and in it you wrote that tomorrow, who knows who will be China's next targets, but I do know that many Hong Kongers will respond then too by demonstrating our solidarity. Would you talk, and by responding with our solidarity and through creativity, would you talk a little bit more about how Hong Kongers might creatively respond to Beijing's encroachment on their freedom?
As you guys might aware, in the summer of last year, we have 2 out of 7 million population talk to the street within the same day to join the rally to show how Hong Kong people are asking for the free election, which means we are not asking something go too far. We just hope to ask for the chance to vote to elect our administration. If greater city just like New York, London, or etc., they could elect their mayor. So why can't Hong Kong? The only reason behind is Beijing show no respect to the UN filed international treaty, I mean the Joint Declaration. And for the creativity that Hong Kongers have, I would also emphasize this highly related to the COVID-19. Due to the outbreak of coronavirus, which might be a bit difficult for us to mobilize more than 100,000 or even more than a million Hong Kongers to the street. But no matter, we organize the protest, the virtual protest in the most popular Nintendo Switch game named Animal Crossing. And finally, because Hong Kong game players organized the protest in the game named Animal Crossing, which just result in this game Animal Crossing is being banned in mainland China. And all of the citizens or residents in mainland China are not able to buy this game anymore. Apart from virtual protests, when Jimmy Lai were arrested last month, how lots of Hong Kongers, they just put the investment to support the next media, which is the media outlet that belongs to Jimmy Lai, this media tycoons. And apart from Hong Kong, I can't imagine which country or city with same as Hong Kong having activists or protesters. They will put their investment in the stock market to show their political preference. It seldom happens around the world, but it's also remarkable. So apart from virtual protests, investment in the stock market, how Hong Kongers to boycott pro-China restaurant and also support pro-democracy restaurant is also part of our daily life. So now what we try to do is, even Hong Kong is not Hong Kong anymore, even activists is facing the risk of life sentencing, how we could combine our daily life with our resistance. So every day when I go to this thing about where should I have my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I would just turn on my mobile phone with the application to show on the Google map which restaurant belongs to the pro-democratic camp, and I would just choose to have my consumption in still restaurant that support the democracy or even push forward the general strike or the labor strike in 2019.
And despite all this, despite the story you just told us, you're still active online. You use certain social media to get your views across. Can you explain why you feel it's important to continue doing that?
It's still important to let the voice of Hong Kong is being heard. And even, for example, with the mass surveillance system, if they hack on my computer, perhaps they might listen to all of our conversation right now, especially we are using Zoom. But I would say that it's not, if that is not really sensitive, of course, if there's some of the sensitive issue, I would use Jesse instead of Zoom. But we still need to try our way to continue the resistance. Even Hong Kong is not Hong Kong anymore. With the spirit of Hong Kongers, we still try some of the creative and alternative way to have our existence. With the outbreak of COVID-19, might be a bit difficult and or even impossible for us to mobilize 1 million people to the street. And even we also afraid of the outbreak of the coronavirus. But at the same time, how we can keep the momentum and also let the world to know that when the authorities arrest Jimmy Lai, when the authorities arrest Agnes Chow, we choose to confront, we choose to resist, and we choose not to give up. And that's the message that we hope to deliver to the world. That's why I still operate my Twitter day by days in English, and also hope to seek for more global attention. I wrote a Write Chinese on Facebook page and explain to the local communities. What I hope is let people to know that first, if those issue is not really sensitive, so there's no reason that we need to keep silence. And if there's any sensitive issue, we should have enough awareness to deal with the information security and to guarantee our safety and also our friends' safety. But it doesn't mean that we would keep silence and not to engage in politics or not engage in our fights anymore.
What gives you hope for the future?
I have no hope towards the regime, but I still have hope towards people in the local and global community, especially Hong Kongers. It's not only that identity that related to anyone who live in Hong Kong. From my point of view, since summer of 2019, anyone who love and care about Hong Kong, upholding the importance of freedom, rule of law, and democracy, they can be proud to recognize themselves as Hong Kongers. And with how the national security right now is not only targeting Hong Kong people, even one of the US citizens named Samuel Zhu is the think tank representative based in Washington, is now is still issuing the prosecution warning to this US citizen, which just imply the national security law in Hong Kong is not only affecting citizens physically live in Hong Kong, it affects all of the freedom lover and freedom fighter around the world. And that's the reason I hope Hong Kong can be still keep under the global spotlight.